Good evening, everyone. Welcome back to Hold Down the Fort, episode 6, the best up-and-coming sports debate podcast on YouTube. I'm joined with my boys, Sam on the big screen and in person, Michael and Vinay. We have a slated podcast for you today. Really excited to delve into it. But also, we want to remind y'all to please continue to leave support. Like, comment, subscribe, turn on notifications, all the fun stuff. So yeah, Sam and Vinay, why don't y'all take it away with our first topic of the day.
Sure, we've got a loaded NFL slate today. This weekend was great. A lot of great games again to start wild card weekend. The Giants upsetting the Vikings, though. That's where I want to start. Giants take down the Vikings 31-24. Boys, do we think it is time for the Vikings to just blow it up and rebuild after this? I mean, another disappointing year. Vinay, what do you think? Is it time to blow this thing?
I don't think the Vikings should overreact. I think that the Vikings fell victim to a lot of media overhype, and their record was better than they truly were as a roster and a football team, especially on the defensive side of the ball. I think they definitely have something special with Kirk and Jay Jettis. I mean, you see Justin Jefferson breaking all these records, but you got to remember, he's breaking them with Kirk Cousins. I don't think you break that up. Especially, you don't want a disgruntled Justin Jefferson to leave and go somewhere else. Keep that together. Keep a top-tier receiver in football. Get some more pieces for that defense. Get some younger guys in there. And I think the Vikings can really contend for a Super Bowl, as much as it saddens me as a fan.
What about you?
So I agree with Vinay. I think the media hype was there, for a reason, right? We saw flashes of how good the Vikings could be this season, and I think that's a testament to where they could head in the future if they make the right decisions in the offseason. I do think that they were overhyped, like Vinay said. They have a ton of weapons like Jay Jettis that can literally go out there and be the difference in some games. But yeah, I don't think it's at the point where they would have to abandon ship just yet. I think they showed growth from last season. They showed what they could be in the future if they make the right decisions, and for that, I think it's a mini accomplishment that should push them forward to continue doing that in the future.
Yeah, I have to agree with Michael and Vinay here. I kind of was one to buy into the media overhype because I saw a flashy wide receiver, and kind of just bought into what Justin Jefferson can do for the Vikings. So I agree with what Vinay said, especially now's not the time to jump ship. Just pick up a few boys to help on the other side of the ball and see where that kind of goes. And they were Super Bowl contenders earlier on this year, kind of leading up to the playoffs. So I definitely do think that potential is there to make the Super Bowl. Sam, what about you? What do you think?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm kind of in the middle here. I feel like maybe don't completely blow it up, but at the same time, I feel like this is the first year that everyone on the team has kind of noticed that there's actual limitations to how far they can go. When you start out as hot as they do, and you're putting up all these points and the offense is so explosive, I think they had a lot. They had Super Bowl aspirations. I mean, you're a high seed, home game in the playoff round. You finally won the division away from the Packers. And then it ends extremely disappointing, and you get outcoached and outplayed by Daniel Jones and Brian Dable. So while I don't know if it's time to blow it up completely, I think next year is going to be a real do or die year because the guys on the team may have already realized that, with Kirk Cousins, this is just as far as we could go. There definitely has to be a lot of retooling. The defense is pathetic. It might be the worst defense in the league, even if the numbers don't show it. Definitely not a Super Bowl caliber there. So you have to focus really after you re-sign Justin Jefferson in the offseason, which that has to be the top priority, no doubt. The defense has to be almost completely redone because the way they played this year just won't cut it.
Yeah, I kind of have a follow-up question. Do y'all think they need to make more roster changes or staff changes?
I personally think the defensive staff were iffy. You could justify firing them. You could justify keeping them. Mm-hmm. If I'm a Vikings fan, I want someone different in that building, coaching that defense. But number one, first off, their interior defensive line needs so much help. Mm-hmm. That D-line has something special on the ends with Danielle Hunter, Zadarius Smith. Great duo, but that interior D-line, they could not stop the run game. Saquon gashed them. That's a number one need if I'm a Vikings fan right now. You got to get a defensive coordinator who will establish that line of scrimmage with those big guys up front. I think that's the best course of action.
Yeah, Sam, what about you?
Yeah, I feel like this one, you just did the coach, like, Kevin O'Connell's a new head coach, so you just did that. I feel like the whole offensive staff has all kind of been reworked recently, so I think this is definitely a player issue more than it is a staff issue. I mean, even with the defense, like, they don't even have a good defense on paper, really, outside of Danielle Hunter and Zadarius Smith. Harrison Smith is aging, he's out of his prime now, so that's clear, so you're kind of lacking at the safety. You really have nothing at corners, like, you let Isaiah Hodgins, just destroy you, and that weak Giants receiving core. You let Daniel Jones, you let Daniel Jones tear you up with that receiving core. I mean, I think this is more of a players issue because you just remade the staff last season, so I don't really know what they could go do now. So I think I would chalk this one up more to the players on the defensive side.
They also have to draft really well. That's a key.
Yeah, exactly. Draft is key.
Patrick Peterson, Harrison Smith. These are vets past their prime.
But they're just old. They're a little too out of their prime to really make a statement.
You got to replace those two with young keystone pieces.
Yeah, I can't wait till we start doing mock drafts, boys. Like, I think that'll be so fun.
Very interesting, very exciting things to come.
Bridging the college and NFL segments right before our eyes. But the next part of the NFL segment, Bucks lose to the Cowboys, 31-14. Where do y'all think Brady is going to end up next year? Just maybe something quick. Where do you see Brady playing next year if you're a betting man?
I see him retiring.
Really?
Yeah.
I have to agree, honestly.
The situation is just not good enough for Tom at this point in his career. Realistically, if he wants to win, AFC West, let's be real, he's not going to win there. NFC South, Panthers, those have been circulating. Panthers aren't there yet. Yeah. Nothing's good enough for him, in my opinion, to justify having another mediocre sort of season.
Sam, what do you think?
Yeah, I kind of agree with Vinay. I think he should retire, but I don't think he will. Realistically, if he wanted, his best chance to win, I think it's Miami. But they're ready to roll with Tua, according to all the reports, and I'm fine with that. So the Raiders are the hot pick. I don't really agree. Today's report that Byron Leftwich has been fired kind of makes me believe he'll stay in Tampa because that was his issue, is that he wasn't getting along with the coaching staff. So if he doesn't retire, I think he just plays it out in Tampa. Raiders just don't have enough on the defense and really on the offensive line for it to be any big difference. And a harder division, like Vinay said, that division is just wide open. You can win it every year when you're in Tampa.
Yeah, I think he stays. I just think he loves football too much. He's going to overcome whatever problems that are on the roster. He could probably sway that staff to get pretty much whoever he wants.
You saying he's staying in Tampa?
Yeah, I think he stays in Tampa. I mean, should he retire? Probably, but this is also Tom Brady. The man is very old. So, yeah.
Do you think he stays for one more season, or you just at least 1+ season?
I don't know. I guess that depends on the outcome of the upcoming season, but
Tampa have to fix their run game. I mean, that's their number one issue offensively. So
yeah, 100%.
They need a coach to come in there who's run first, kind of run minded.
So if they take a running back first off the board, do you think that's enough of a change to the season potential come out of it? If you give me
they need to go to free agency.
Who would be the first back off the board? Bijan Robinson?
I don't know if he drops to them.
I don't know, but you know what I mean?
But I think Bijan goes before.
Yeah.
You think?
Yeah.
Well, what's their pick though?
The Bucks are gonna have
They're gonna be. True. Now that you mention it, they might be in the range, but I think the Eagles might take them with that extra pick that they have with the Saints. To be honest.
Yeah, I mean that's all mock draft stuff. You think we should get to the next question, Sam?
Yeah, I guess we'll see.
Please, I'll be praying.
All right, you want to ask the next one, Sam?
Yeah. This one was a really emotional game for me because it made me really upset and it caused me to go 0-3 on my best bets pretty much. The Jaguars.
What a
have a stunning comeback. Yeah, spoiler alert there. That's how bad it was. If you guys follow the TikTok, you know that I posted a bit of a rant on there after this happened because I was just not in the place to deal with that. But yes, Jaguars complete the stunning historic comeback against the Chargers to win 31-30. Trevor Lawrence a horrific first half, and then maybe one of the best second halves we've ever seen in the wild card. Really a game with two halves. Chargers utter collapse. But I want to ask you guys: is this game more about the Jaguars' second half performance, or was it more about the Chargers' second half collapse? What was the bigger factor here? Michael, let's start with you.
I'll go Jags second half performance. I mean, you're up 27-0, right? Like, I don't think that this is on like anyone but them. They blew a huge lead. I mean, they were able to stop them for the majority of the first half, and then it just looked like they couldn't adapt at all. You know, when the Jags made a change offensively in their scheme, the Chargers did not adjust at all, and I don't think that, you know, their play really showed that. I mean, if you give up, this is like one of the biggest comebacks in wild card history, right? Like,
Yeah.
That was third biggest.
third biggest, yeah. Wow, dude, that's crazy that
That's
you
pretty
just do that
incredible,
half the time.
honestly.
Yeah, but I don't know. I don't like, obviously, like Trevor Lawrence and all them have to like find a way to overcome adversity, and like that's no easy thing to do. But like watching part of that comeback, the Chargers defense just looked like they didn't want it anymore. I don't know. That's just how I see it.
I mean, I went out that night, so I didn't really watch the game, one of the highlights. So I can't really. I'd have to say though, like if you're in a position where a team doesn't score any points and you allow them to come back and win a game at halftime, I think it more so has to do with the lack of discipline from the defense, like just utterly falling asleep. So yeah, that's just like my opinion. Just about
I have a guess where Renee is going with this.
I think he's gonna say T Law like absolutely took over.
Yeah, 100%.
Nah, I'm saying this is all about the Chargers collapse.
Oh,
Oh,
okay.
okay.
First off, as Michael noted, no adjustments at half. I mean, no adjustments throughout that second half. They had multiple chances. Trevor Lawrence, he made the game look so easy. Amazing performance on his end. But in the NFL, you just don't lose when you're up 27-0. And when the stakes are the highest and you have the most to lose, to let that slip away in an NFL game, especially a playoff game, that just doesn't happen. And like, that's a testament to the utter collapse that it was, because in the NFL, you're supposed to guarantee a win when you're up by that margin.
Mm-hmm.
In a playoff game, yeah.
Yeah, I agree with Vinay. I mean, this feels like really it's all on the Chargers. Obviously, it takes a lot of skill and good team play to come back down from that much. But I mean, if you're the Chargers and you go into halftime, you can't get more than 3 points in the second half. Like, it's just painful. You have Eckler, who's a good. I get he's had a down year, but he's still a good back, and they refuse to run the ball. It's 3 and out after 3 and out. This feels like a poor coaching job. I mean, Staley, you want to go for fourth downs all your whole career, but the second you get in here, you don't want to do it anymore. It just felt like a Chargers collapse. Obviously, mad props to the Jaguars. It's incredibly impressive, and they played a huge part in it. But I think the biggest contributing factor here was the collapse of the Chargers in the second half due to that refusal to turn to the run game and the defense just letting up a little too much.
Yeah, so the unanimous hold down the fort conclusion is that this is on the Chargers collapse. 4 of us are in agreement on that.
Yeah, I'm glad we can reach consensus on that.
But one thing we might not reach consensus on is the most likely upset of the weekend. Sam, I'll ask you first, since I actually didn't think of mine. Why don't you tell us your most likely upset?
Yeah, out of the home games this weekend, we got the Chiefs playing at home against the Jags. Bills are at home against the Bengals. Eagles at home against the Giants, and the Niners at home against the Cowboys, just for reference. The Cowboys-Niners could be a pretty interesting game, to be fair. I think that has the potential to go down to the wire. But if we're talking most likely or to lose, I think the Giants will beat the Bengals. But when I look at the pure odds of winning, the Giants will beat the Eagles. But when we look at the pure chances of winning, they can't really be there. So I would have to go for the Bengals upsetting the Bills, even though my hot take is that the Giants will beat the Eagles.
I agree.
But Bengals beating the Bills, they're two teams that are almost relatively equal, only separated by about a game during the regular season. Obviously, we know what happened, and they didn't get to finish out the game they actually played. So if we want to look at just percentage of winning, like the Bengals definitely have the highest percentage chance of winning as not the favorite team out of those 4. So that'd be my pick, even though my actual hot take is that the Giants will win again against the Eagles this weekend.
Wow. Yeah, just jumping in real quick because I actually agree with Sam. I think Vegas is really underestimating the Bengals and putting the line at 5.5. I think. I think it's gonna be a really close game, especially judging our last playoff
I'm rooting for the
performance.
Bills though, just for reference. I am rooting for the Bills in this game.
All right. Well, I'm glad to welcome over a fellow a Dolphins fan to the Bills Mafia. I'm glad you're joining us. But yeah, I mean, just judging from our last playoff performance against Miami, honestly, makes me very nervous this upcoming game. And Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, Joe Burrow, stacked offense. So I really am nervous, especially considering what the Bills defense did last week against Miami.
Don't forget the best wide receiver 3 in fantasy football, Tyler Boyd. I mean, he is just a clinical wide receiver. I'm just playing. But I am also actually going to take the Bengals as the most likely upset against the Bills. I don't see a scenario in which this game is not close, right? I think that this is going to be one of those games where, you're sitting at home watching, it's 30-30 with 3 minutes left, and it's just a matter of who gets the ball last, right? And on that note, if the game does play out that way, one team, they got Tyler Bass, sure. But the other team has a guy by the name of Evan McPherson. And where he went to school, University of Florida. He's known for his game winners, as he's done it historically. Did it in the playoffs last year. I think he has a chance to do that again and upset the Bills. I think the Bills have looked pretty vulnerable recently. And I think, the Bills can probably take him on. So, do I think...
Bengals look pretty vulnerable too, let's be fair. They did not look exactly world beaters last week.
I mean, sorry.
No, go for it.
Yeah, me personally, on the note of the Bills-Bengals game, I think that the Bills have the edge in this one just because I trust Trey White and Kyer Elam more than I trust Eli Apple.
Might be a little biased with the Elam pick, but
Elam had an amazing performance last game.
No, he's good. I actually like him. He's been a solid corner.
Point is, I think the Buffalo secondary is more well equipped to handle the weapons of the Bengals than the Bengals secondary is to handle the weapons of the Bills.
That's true. I agree.
So my prediction is actually going to be the Cowboys over the 49ers. Simply because I think that this Cowboys pass rush is on a different timing in the playoffs this year. I mean, yes, against a pitiful Buccaneers offensive line, they got their confidence up, but you can't deny their confidence is at an all-time high. Micah Parsons wreaking Lawrence Taylor levels of havoc. I think he's gonna have an all-time great playoff performance to upset the 49ers. It's gonna be an all-time classic. That Cowboys-49ers historic playoff rivalry. This is gonna be the modern day, Lawrence Taylor type-esque performance. I'm predicting big things from Parsons. Give me the Cowboys.
Interesting pick. All right, Sam. What about you? Oh, you said the Bengals, right?
Yeah, I have Bengals over the Bills for mine. I think that was... Is that all of us? Bengals? No, you guys didn't go.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, we went.
Yeah. We all said the Bengals.
All right, well...
Yeah,
okay. So in that case, we're going to move on to college football. This has been a crazy last week or so as far as recruiting and transfer portal goes. It's been honestly ridiculous. But we start with the breaking news as of today. Over the weekend, Cormani McClain ditched Miami's attempt to come see him at school in order to appear at an official visit in Colorado. Deion Sanders said he was not hard to find. We found him pretty quickly. And as of today, he officially commits to join Travis Hunter in the defensive backfield at the Buffaloes. This is huge for Deion. He flips the top defensive back 2 years in a row. Well, what does this mean for Colorado? I mean, what are we looking at as far as recruiting, the future of the recruiting and transfer portal outlook at Colorado? What does this mean for them? Anything significant? Like, what do you think? You're the college football guy.
Well, I think it's really interesting, right? Because I think we've discussed previously that Colorado is not going to be a powerhouse, Power 5 player, right? In the grand scheme of things, it's going to take a while for them to build up. You don't have two guys in Travis Hunter and Cormani McClain and start winning championships, right? It takes a lot of depth. It takes a lot of time to establish yourselves as a high-powered recruiting team. But I do think it says one thing, and it's that no DB is safe with Deion, right? Especially when they're young, like it's such
Very true.
it's such an enticing like I guess like advertisement to have the GOAT at that position teaching you, right? And it's for a school where you know you're going to start right away, right? There's no battle at your position. You go straight in there and you're instantly making an impact. And you know what I honestly think will happen is that we're going to see these guys, Cormani and Travis Hunter, they'll play very well at Colorado, but I think a year or two from now, to really prove themselves as solid defenders and solidify that draft stock, they're going to transfer, I think, to maybe the SEC and play for Nick Saban or a Kirby Smart-esque school. And I think that's what people are not really talking about, is how this is going to eventually lead like the powerhouses that currently exist to maybe get a shot at them down the road. I don't know, but it is interesting. The initial question was about like, what does this mean for Colorado? I don't think it means a whole lot long term, because Dion really needs to still prove to me that he's able to recruit at other positions and hire a staff that's capable of doing that. But I do still think it's impressive that he's done this in back-to-back years. Like obviously, you have to like have some type of pitch that makes sense to get these world-class cornerbacks to come to your school, even if you are the greatest player at that position ever. What do y'all think?
Yeah. Well, hold on. Before you guys go, I hate to cut you off. I just had a quick follow-up from Michael because I was kind of curious to hear what you had to say about this.
Yeah.
If you had to predict right now, do you think that Dion in Colorado, with a full year of recruiting under his belt, do you think they'll have a top 10 class next year as far as 2024 goes?
I'd say no. I'd put
maybe top 20. Let's go top 20.
I could see like a fringe top 20 class come in there because the thing is, especially with NIL nowadays, like you have to imagine Travis Hunter and Cormani they're getting their money, right? Like Cormani's literal nickname is Cormani Money McClain, right? And it's like, I don't know. I think with NIL anything is possible, and I think if they get momentum, things can pick up really, really quickly. We haven't seen them dominate the transfer portal. Actually, that might be false. I think they've done pretty well in the portal. But yeah, I don't know.
They've done great in the portal. It's just it's not exactly top tier talent. It's what's left.
Yeah,
it's better than what they've had.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't see them being top 10, top 20 maybe. I think it's possible. Yeah.
Okay, well, back to our original question then. Rohan, what did you think? What does signing Cormani McClain mean for Deion Sanders this season? Or, for this upcoming season and this off season, at least?
I only, can judge what, Deion Sanders can do by what I know about him. And I only know about him through my TikTok For You page. I recently saw a TikTok about how, he gathered his entire team and they were voting on whether to dismiss a 5-star recruit because of multiple, infringements of his coaching policy. And, he made it, it made it seem like, his team is, not just a team and it's a family. So I think, that type of culture, whatever it's, embedded in a team from the start. I think, no matter, how much talent disparity there is or how much coaching disparity there is, I still think, that team can achieve, a great many, different things. So, I think with a coach like Dion, who's, establishing that culture from, the offset, there's no, there's no limits as to what he can do. And we already know he's a great recruiter. So, I just think, with the culture that he's building, it's going to attract, a lot of top talent from high school. And we already know with the right, with the right class, he can be very successful. So that's pretty much my take on what I know very little about in Deion Sanders.
Yeah, I mean he's building the best cornerback room in the country. That's not something to play down. I mean, if we believe Cormani Money McClain to be who we believe him to be, along with Travis Hunter, who's proven himself to be quite the athlete, I think that's not something to just. I think Dion is quietly building a contender of a defense. Now, it's still up in arms to see how his son will handle that offense. So, I do see this being kind of like an identity-forming year. So, not a huge year. Yeah.
All right, let's get to the next question. Walker Howard joins Jackson Dart and Spencer Sanders at Ole Miss under Lane Kiffin. Spencer Sanders just also recently flipped there from Oklahoma State. And now they have 3 starting caliber quarterbacks in that quarterback room. pretty ridiculous, right, Sam? I know. We just
Yeah. I knew that Howard had been there. Yeah, I knew Howard committed there today, and I kind of understood that move. It's fine to sit behind a guy. We assumed this is Dart's last year, so we assume it's fine to sit behind him. You're still young. I get that, but Spencer Sanders is what really boggles my mind here, so to speak. It makes no sense to me. You have 3 guys on the same team. I understand one of them, but I'm pretty sure this is Sanders' last year of eligibility, and why you would want to spend it. Likely sitting behind, I'm under the impression Dart is the guy. Why you would want to spend it sitting behind him, just as I don't quite understand it. I don't know why you need to have 3 starting caliber on the same team.
Yeah.
Clearly, and maybe it's just a pay thing. Like maybe they just paid him NIL. But yeah, I don't understand this at all. I really don't know what to say. Other than this just makes no sense.
Yeah.
Mostly for Spencer Sanders.
Yeah, I mean, Jackson Dart is not going to the league, right? Like he's coming back for sure.
Yeah. He's not declared as a top prospect.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah, no, he's coming back. He's 2024 likely to go. But
Yeah, I'm in agreement with you, Seth. This makes no sense to me. I don't know. These all seem like quarterbacks that like this could be a like 3. As I see it right now, I could see this finishing as a 3-way tie for the starting job. Like I really could, and obviously it's not going to happen. There's going to be probably 1, and if not 1, 2 that proliferate themselves as like the clear 1 and 2. But like as I see it now, these guys are like pretty similarly talented. I mean, like I don't know. I think they're like B+ tier quarterbacks, all of them. So. Yeah, maybe it's NIL, but hats off to Lane Kiffin. He just got 3 ballers. Yeah, I mean, we also talked about it earlier. Maybe they want to play because of that Ole Miss offense, right? Like, if you're in that offensive system, you're going to be throwing the ball a ton and showcasing what
they're just not going to get the chance to play.
Yeah, exactly, and that's
maybe Howard will, but I don't know. I don't see Spencer Sanders going to get a chance to play.
Yeah, I don't know. What do y'all think?
It is weird.
I mean, all I can help but do is just imagine what Jackson Dart is thinking right now. I mean, coming off last year, not a bad year, high-flying offense, some big wins, but imagine now 2 talented, capable, proven quarterbacks to light a fire under your helmet. Can we cut, please?
All right.
Forgot what I was going to say. Goddamn.
All right.
Let's just resume from right
Also,
now.
make sure you're not in the way of.
No, I'm not.
Yeah, can you also, like...
Wait, let me make sure you're not.
Yeah. Look from the recording perspective.
Bro, is there a way that you can kind of, like, tilt yours facing kind of the same way mine is?
Like, okay. Do you want me to do it now, or should we just like wait till Jonah comes because it'll just like look weird, like there's like a random
Okay,
cut.
fine, yeah.
Wait, so Jonah is grabbing this chair?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, we good.
By the way, after this, don't like ask me to say anything because I don't know anything about this topic, so just like skip over me. I mean,
Alright,
we can go to the
alright,
Okay. I mean, 2 talented, capable quarterbacks to light a fire under your ass. It's going to be a really tough season for Jackson Dart. We got to see what he's made of. If he comes out of this on top, that's just a testament to, his talent and his grit.
Yeah. All right. So let's move on to the whole Jaden Rashada saga. I know Josh Pate talked about this on his podcast tonight, which I'll be watching later. This is such a fascinating recruitment to me. I mean, I was following this recruitment super, super closely with a couple of my friends. Shout out that group chat. If you know, you know. But when he initially committed to Miami, there was so much talk about how the day of he was, kind of set on UF, and then, they gets a call, and it's John Reese. He picks it up, and John Reese goes, "Hey, how would you like $10 million plus?" And what's his name? Rashada goes, "Hold the phone. I'll be there right now." So I don't know. Like I honestly think a lot of it isn't Rashada's prerogative. I think it's really his parents. If you're reading the reports closely, his parents are to blame. That's who I'm blaming. According to the reports, his dad in particular seems to be somewhat money hungry. This is literally the reports that are getting put out there by actual beat writers for these teams. And like, I don't know, he was walking to UF. I saw him when he came here to visit versus the LSU game. Looked very happy to be here. Even took a picture of my sign. And Jaden Rashada, if you're seeing this, please send me that photo. I've tried DMing you on Instagram like 5 times, bro. Just please tell me the photo. But anyway, like I can't explain what he's up to. I mean, you don't want to play for the school that you were so set on in UF, and you know, to me it seemed like UF was the reason he had switched from Miami to UF initially is because he didn't feel like Miami was the best fit for him outside of the whole money thing, and he eventually wanted to change that and start to value like his actual career as both an athlete and a student, right? So I don't know what I really don't know what happened. I'm interested to see where that goes, where he ends up. He could also very easily stay committed to UF, even if he's getting rid of his national letter of intent. But we will see. I don't know. That'll be something really interesting to follow. Unfortunate because I was happy to get 2 5-stars in that quarterback room with Lagway right behind him, but it happens. Sure, we'll find some decent guy to compete with Graham Mertz in the portal, but yeah, that's all I gotta say on that. Anyone else want to add anything?
Yeah.
I mean, I got a lot to say, so you guys go first. I've had an interesting time taking in all of this.
All I'll say is that John Ruiz story, you know, if it's true, that's wild. That's crazy to think about. This is the day and age of college football where on the walk to the podium, anyone could get a phone call from anybody for any amount of money, and that can change everything.
Yeah, and I also want to say, like, I'm not, like, out here claiming that's for sure what happened. It's just that's, like, what very, very strong rumors from people who have, like, been credible in the past are saying.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I just want to put that out there. Like, I could be wrong. I could very well be wrong.
Yeah, but I mean, the fact is, like, we believe in it in this day and age.
Yeah.
Like, it's believable, and, yeah, I just think that's crazy. That's what I take away from this.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I have to agree. Like, it's just very disappointing to see, you know, someone who, you know, we thought to be, you know, our starting quarterback, you know, fall through last minute. And this guy was hyping him up to all of us. So we were looking forward to seeing him play.
Yeah. I honestly don't know if he would have been a starter, but he would have probably competed for the job pretty well. Sam, I know you said you have a lot of thoughts. What do you think?
So yeah, when I look at this, there's 2 ways I gotta go through it. There's one angle of the FSU fan who, you know, loves to see any other rival school go through turmoil. But then I gotta look at it as a fan of the sport, which I am. I mean, I just love all things college football. And let's be real, it is better when UF creates some parity and is competing for the SEC and making noise. They are an historic program, just like all 3 power schools in Florida are. There's history to all 3. So it does kind of suck to see them have such a bleak outlook for next year as of right now. But really it comes down to this. Like you said, not all the reports are like certified yet, but what is official is that he did ask for a release from the letter of intent. That has been confirmed. He did not enroll on campus when he was supposed to, which immediately puts him behind the progress of the top recruits like Nico Yamaleava. I don't know if I said that right.
Wow, that was a pretty solid pronunciation, I would say.
and Arch Manning, both of them enrolled early and are using the spring to get adjusted to the offense. Michael says he doesn't think he would have got the job. I'm like on the complete opposite. I just slandered Graham Mertz whenever I get the chance because I'm just not a fan. I don't know why. He just kind of like sucks to me. So I think Rashada could have gone in and competed right away, especially if he got in for spring. You know, I don't really think anything of Jack Miller, really. I don't think he's doing anything much.
Wow.
But it sucks.
Shout out Jack, bro.
I thought Rashada could have come in and got the job, and if he didn't win the job from the start, I think he definitely could have taken it throughout the year. I believe that he was definitely going to be the starter by the time the FSU game rolled around in the swamp. But it just sucks because I looked at the schedule yesterday for UF this season, and with Graham Mertz at the quarterback, 5-7 is really possible. Unfortunately, it's a really possible outcome. Which sucks. I like to see UF doing good. There's nothing I'm looking forward to more than the UF FSU game, especially like now with Jordan Travis coming back and our whole roster really staying intact. I thought this had potential to be one of the best games ever, and we saw it last year. Like last year's game was amazing, but you know if you couldn't get the job done with Anthony Richardson, I don't think you're gonna get it done with Graham Mertz.
It's a bit more of a complex, I think, situation than that.
I don't think Graham Mertz is beating FSU, Georgia, Tennessee, LSU. I don't think you're beating Arkansas with Graham Mertz. Let's be real.
Really, dude.
I mean, KJ Jefferson back. I believe that game is in Arkansas. That's kind of why I say that because it's an away game. But
I don't think it is. I think we play them at home.
I'm just so out on the guy. It sucks. I wanted to see a 5-star talent come in and potentially suit.
I mean, we'll save this. We'll save this for another pod because we'll do like early record predictions for future college.
Yeah, I think me and you are gonna go do a whole way too early top 25 at some point. So
45. That's lit. But yeah, there's the Gators will not go 5-7 next year.
They're winning the Natty, bro.
Book it.
I mean, it's not a testament to the talent of the team because you guys have a solid roster and a good recruiting class. It's more about the schedule. I mean, it's just you play such a hard schedule that with a bad or with not a good quarterback, it's really hard to. I mean, you were 6-6 with Anthony Richardson, an NFL prospect.
Yeah, but we also didn't have any receivers. We're getting 3 freshman receivers that make up the second best wide receiver class in the 2023 cycle.
I mean, I don't know. That's a lot of faith to put in a couple freshmen to go along with a lesser QB.
Yeah, but I mean, we've seen freshman wide receivers do it before, right?
Yeah, I just don't think the talent is there at the most important position, frankly.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, the thing is also, we could talk about this. Well, I'm gonna close it here. We'll get to the next question because we've been going on for a while. But I also think Graham Mertz at Wisconsin didn't have the best protection all year. If you watch some of his film, he was scrambling out of the pocket like crazy. Had to make some.
Well, do we know what the Florida line will look like next year with no Torrance on it? I mean, you're losing a lot of key pieces.
We just picked up the second best lineman, right?
Yeah, we picked up 3 offensive linemen from the portal who are all going to be pretty solid, I think. All have a shot at starting time. I also think that Rob Sale is going to get them boys straight. I think I'll have better protection at UF than Wisconsin. Is what I'm saying. So
maybe it'll be interesting. I just don't. I agree. At least with Dan Rosado, there was an X factor that he could be something.
Yeah.
Great with Graham Mertz, it's
it's less likely. I agree. It's less likely. I agree. Okay. Last question. Jim Harbaugh is going to return to Michigan. Let's make this a quick one. Can the Wolverines compete for the title again next year? I'll start with you, Sam.
No, I think a lot of teams are going to bounce back. Ohio State will be better than them next year. And I'm going to say Alabama, Georgia, and those 3 for sure. I just don't think they'll be good enough to win the title.
I'd have to agree.
Yeah, no chance.
Yeah, for me, it's not even that they'll be bad. It's just they won't be elite enough to win the big game.
Yeah, they just won't be what they were this year.
We've seen Jim Harbaugh in big college football playoff games. What has he done? He's lost. I don't think they can compete genuinely, or legitimately at least, for a natty. All right, Rohan.
Yep.
It is your time to shine, is it not?
Yes, it is. Sorry, I was just pulling something up. But yeah, now to talk about our soccer segment, some real quick transfer update. We just saw Memphis Depay join Atletico Madrid for €3.5 million, I think. Let's see what he can do over there. We'll be keeping track of him. We saw a workhorse complete his transfer to Manchester United for the rest of the season. I know Vide is pretty excited about that. But speaking about signings, Chelsea had brought in João Felix, and now they have recently dropped their bag on. I actually saw this on Fabrizio Romano's story. It was I forgot who, but I think they signed a French midfielder for about €30 million, I think.
Yeah, and they put out a $68 million bid for a separate player on top of that new signing.
Yeah.
So they're still looking to spend a ton of money on more signings on top of what they've already done.
I know, yeah. The whole situation at Chelsea is ridiculous.
So obviously desperate.
Yeah. They literally have more signings than wins this season. They're currently sat at 10th in the Premier League, and they have, I think, over 13 or 14 signings, which is kind of wild.
And it's only going to go up. They're setting themselves back in that statistic.
Yeah, I mean, they're a top 6 Premier League team, and they are in 10th place, which is honestly very shocking to say. A team that won the Champions League 2 years ago, to be 10th now, it's been really bad, especially with the manager change and the new owners. But yeah, where do we see Chelsea ending up? When the dust is settled at the end of the season. What do you think, Michael?
Bro, I don't know. I'm not following Chelsea soccer that closely, to be honest. All I really hear is y'all saying, "Oh, you wouldn't take Chelsea against like any team on any given match." So probably not too well. But that's just me trusting Vinay's guts. So Vinay, you could probably expand.
Yeah, I mean, I stand by that statement. Right now, we've seen them against a multitude of teams, and no matter who they're playing against, they still manage to look the worst side, even if they are able to scrape away a result. And, you know, getting thoroughly outplayed like that on a consistent basis, they're just not in a good place right now. Hopefully some new signings kick in. You know, when you make that many signings, a couple of them are bound to hit. Mudrik's going to be exciting, along with all the other young talent. I think they're going to try to get some quality in that midfield. That's what they desperately need. They lack quality in the midfield, and they're getting trounced. Hopefully some quality gets in there. Because, you know, it is, as a Man United fan, it's fun to see them doing terribly, but you want to see, you know, a rival club with the history and the prestige. You don't want to see them tank too much.
Yeah, I agree. Sam, what about you? What do you think?
Yeah, kind of in a similar boat to Michael, where I'm not, as caught up on Chelsea football as I could be, but just from what you telling me, and I did hear about some of this signings actually, it just feels like a desperation move, honestly. When you just start paying and paying, if we were to compare to American football, it would be the Rams saying "F them picks" and just throwing and paying for superstars only, and screw the depth. We'll leave that later. But obviously, you would hope for some improvement. But when you're already mid-season and you're just scrambling and paying out of desperation, I don't really know how far up you can go.
Yeah, I mean, if I'm a Chelsea player on the current squad and I see all these new signings, it makes me really nervous. So, some part of me, wants to believe that the current Chelsea starting 11, will see the signings that Chelsea is making and kind of, put their shift into shift their focus into actually, improving, focusing on training, focusing on, getting better. But, on the other side of things, when you bring in a ton of new players, it messes up with the overall chemistry of the team. And, I think it makes a less cohesive unit. So it can really go either way. We saw how Felix had a horrible debut, getting a red card at the 64th minute. But, I don't see them making any European football. If they do, they're going to get the last Conference League spot. But, yeah.
I mean, let's not forget that they're putting all these signings and all this shakeup in the hands of Graham Potter.
Yeah. Graham Potter has not shown that he has the talent to
I mean, why are you giving
team.
all of this to Graham Potter when he's been on the job for so little?
Exactly.
This is like something you do for a Mourinho or a Conte.
Yeah, I mean, this is
not a Graham
this
Potter.
is clearly a reaction to their recent form. New owners just trying to appease the fans and appease their shareholders, and it's throwing a ton of money into trying to fix a solution, but they don't even know what the problem is.
I also want to shout out FIFA because I did know they were in bad form. We just tried playing with them, right?
Oh yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Shout out to FIFA, I guess.
Shout out to Neil.
Oh yeah, our live audience, Neil. But yeah, anyway.
Yeah.
Really quickly, also another game I wanted to talk about real quick is the Tottenham Manchester City game that happened earlier today. Tottenham was up 2-0 at halftime, and then I don't know what Pep Guardiola said in the tunnel or in the changing room. Manchester City outscored Tottenham 4-0 in the second half to make the final score 4-2, completing the comeback. It went from a shutout to an absolute disaster class for Tottenham. Erling Haaland got on the score sheet, Riyad Mahrez got on the score sheet twice, and Julian Alvarez bagged the first goal. I don't really have any questions about this game, but I just wanted to bring this up. We were talking about this earlier, and there's no denying that Pep Guardiola has to be an unreal manager. Just that is proof in itself that when your tactics don't work at first, halftime comes around, you talk to your team, you make changes, and you implement those changes, and it spills over to the players. So
Wait, but Vinay, you know what quote I'm about to say? What lead they had in the game?
Yep. 2-0 leads. Yeah.
The most dangerous lead.
oh yeah,
In all of
in all of sports, I would
In
say.
all of sports.
Having a 2-0 lead in soccer. Going into that at the half, I'd be shaking my boots. I'd purposely tell my players not to put a second goal back if it meant not going up 2-0.
Yeah.
Exactly. That complacency kicks in, and as soon as you give that avenue to a team like Man City, they will completely bury you, and that's what happened to Tottenham. What can I say? Another poverty franchise.
yeah.
They're joining the depths of Liverpool and Chelsea right now.
Yeah, I mean, I hope they can figure out a way. Especially I have a very a special place in my heart for Antonio Conte, so I just hope he succeeds in the Tottenham position. But the last game I want to talk about was a little bit of a banter game in my opinion. It was the Riyadh All-Star 11 versus Paris Saint-Germain. The game ended 4-5. It was probably the last head-to-head we'll ever see with Ronaldo and Messi on opposing teams. Do y'all have some thoughts to share about the game? If you saw something on social media or you watched the game? What about you?
Ronaldo got destroyed, didn't he?
Oh yeah, dude. So in the first half, there was a corner, and Keylor Navas went for the ball, but he wanted to punch it in midair, and Ronaldo was trying to go for the header. So they just made contact, and his eye got all swollen up, which led to Ronaldo's first goal of his year. He scored a penalty, and he ended up getting another goal later on in the game. But yeah, Vay, do you have any thoughts on the game?
Yeah, I mean, it's always fun to see a glorified photo shoot with the side of soccer in between takes.
Yeah. I mean,
that's what this match was. I mean, it was sentimental, but to me, it just made me sad to see, wow, these guys really took the times for granted when they were battling it out on the biggest stage in the best moments.
and there's so many players on that.
This was kind of a mockery of all the historic battles that they've had.
There are so many players on the PSG team that competed in El Clasico, like Navas, Sergio Ramos, Ronaldo for Al Nassr,
Exactly.
Messi for Barcelona,
I'm saying
Neymar for Barcelona. They literally, I think they
this historic rivalry has come down to two oil clubs trying to recreate it. It's unbearable.
Yeah, and
What a waste.
yeah, I mean, while the game was fun to watch, I mean, it really just did not sit right with me. We do know that PSG ended up getting paid 8.8 million euros to accept this game, which makes it it's very unsettling for me when I see I know Riyadh 11 is comprised of Al Nassr and Al Riyadh who have a ton of money, but they're definitely a smaller club on the scale to PSG. So despite the fact that they have an unlimited budget, they're still a smaller team, and this my point still applies. It's very unsettling for me when a smaller club, no matter their budget, has to pay bigger clubs for a game so they can play to increase their exposure, get another game on their schedule, and it should be the other way around in my opinion. That's what you see in college football, right? You see smaller programs receiving money from these bigger teams. So the bigger teams, have, a more complete schedule, but also the smaller teams are getting the monetary incentive to play them, national headlines, as well as, money that they can reinvest towards, improving their clubhouse and improving their game. So, I mean, for me, I should just be thinking that PSG should be paying Al Riyadh to play them. Like you said, these bigger teams have, huge budgets, so kind of make that comparison. Do you think that the position that we're in right now in soccer is more, better on net, or you think the college football way is better? Michael, what do you think?
I prefer the college football approach. I think it makes more sense to me, right? You're a big powerhouse school. You want to complete your schedule with an easy win. And that's the exact reward you're getting when you're paying a smaller school to play you, right? They don't have the roster to keep up with you. You're practically paying for a win, unless you're Michigan paying for a win against Appalachian State. I believe it was in 2007. But beyond that...
Texas A&M just did it this year against Appalachian State. They paid $1.8 million to lose.
Yes, I forgot about that too. I'm living in 2007 in the good old times when Tebow was the Heisman and we were winning back-to-back natties. My apologies, but... Actually, we didn't win back-to-back. That's a topic for another time. But I think college football method makes more sense because the big school is getting paid for a free win, which, by the way, the important note here is that when you get a win, although maybe it's not the most exciting thing ever and it's against, a small school, that win creates a lot of momentum for, attendance at future games, energy at future games. It also helps your chances in the playoff, right? You get a free win. I don't know, that's nice to have because you're not playing another average SEC school, which can beat you on almost any given Saturday, right? On the other end, like Rohan said, I do think it's nice for the smaller schools to get that money that they can reinvest back into their facilities, their training, their coaching staff, maybe to get better NIL deals, but also they're getting better competition, better film to look at, increased exposure, so maybe there's some new viewers that enjoy watching them. They're also getting a lot too, apart from just the money and better experience.
Yeah. Also, like these players are like literally like going against, like you said, like one of the better players.
Yeah,
that are part of like a better club or like a better.
Yeah. Like
school.
say for instance, there's a draft prospect from a smaller school. This is his opportunity to show himself on the national stage. Hey, I can keep up with these big time SEC powerhouse guys, and that's why you should draft me. Is kind of an opportunity for them as well. I like it a lot more in college football. I think it makes more sense.
Vinny, what do you think?
Yeah, I think it's very concerning when you see, two clubs with ridiculous amounts of money just dropping money on these glorified photo shoots. They're trying to create the moments. They're trying to buy the moments of football, and it's really discouraging. You got to let those rivalries like that, moments like that take decades to develop, and you can't just buy two sides, put them in a stadium in Saudi Arabia and say, give us fireworks, because that'll never equate to the Merseyside derby on a given rainy afternoon on a Tuesday in England. So, kind of my thoughts on that.
Yeah, Sam, what do you think?
Yeah, I like the college football method better, but I think it's the reality, frankly. And this was kind of a fluke. Like the Saudi Arabian club just has all this money to spend. So from their end, they're getting a return on investment. They're basically paying PSG to play because they have all this money to spare. And obviously putting Ronaldo and Messi on the same pitch is going to bring in massive viewership, even if it's just a sentimental game at this point. But I think that's kind of a fluke. I don't know how often we'll be seeing trends like that, where a smaller team pays the big money to play a bigger team. I think in reality, it's going to often be the college football way, which is just better. It's the way it should be.
Yeah.
Unless you're Texas A&M, who can't beat Appalachian State because they're too good for you.
Yeah. No, I mean, it is, I wouldn't say it's, uncommon for teams to play friendlies. Like for instance, like during the World Cup break, Juventus had like 3 or 4 friendlies.
Well, that's different. I just mean paying big money to play. Like I don't think they're ever going to pay like $8.8 million just to play a game. I feel like that was just
no. Yeah, so that's how friendlies are set up. They pay the other team. To set up the friendly.
I have a quick question, kind of off topic, but is there a limit on how much teams like in football, like soccer, can pay for players?
Yeah. So like in La Liga, for instance, there's a lot of controversy with Barcelona, who kind of exceeded their cap for the amount of money they were able to spend. But I don't think that there is a salary cap that's enforced across all of Europe. Mm-hmm. I think it just depends on the leagues and how the league enforces those rules. Mm-hmm. But yeah, so going back to what I was saying, Sam, made a good point how, they're paying the money to get the exposure, getting, a lot of eyes on, the smaller players. But we'll look at this price tag, for instance, 8.8 million euros. If they're doing it for the photo op reason, and a majority of the reason was the photo op, I don't think they received $8.8 million in return to even break even from shirt sales or media exposure or anything, or viewership numbers or season ticket holders. I don't think they pay. I don't think they break even, or I think they lose a lot of money.
Ads too and all that for commercials and whatnot, and merch sales and even concessions, stuff like that. I feel like all of it kind of plays into account, but just the viewership in general. Yeah. For people to come back to future games because they're seeing your starting on display. I don't know. They also just have a lot of FU money to spend. So
that's true. Yeah. Yeah, I agree. This situation was a little bit of a fluke because Riyadh does have a lot of. The Riyadh 11 has a lot of money to throw around. But yeah, I just think these big teams should be fronting the bill for this. But that's pretty much all I have for soccer. But before we get into our last segment of the day, we wanted to introduce a new surprise segment onto our show where we bring on a special guest.
Our first special guest.
Yeah.
To talk about Down the Fort history.
To talk about their sport of they're gonna be our specialist.
UFC correspondent.
Yes, our UFC correspondent. Everyone, please put your hands together for our boy Jonah Bennett.
Thank you.
Hey everyone, it's Rohan here. Just wanted to apologize. We had some technical difficulties recording the last bit of the podcast. So unfortunately, our friend Jonah was not able to do his UFC segment and our best bets were not recorded. So we're just going to void that for this week and we're just going to pick up next week. So again, sorry about the issues. We're gonna try to make sure that doesn't happen for next week. But yeah, expect a few episodes leading up to the big pod next week, and we'll continue our best bet segment, and continue to leave suggestions below in the comments. Please continue to like, subscribe. Really do appreciate the support, and yeah, we'll catch you next week. Thanks.